All right, let's get into this. Open Era GOAT. So Open Era for Rocket League is RLCS Season X onwards. Before Open Era started, we had Season 1 through 9 of RLCS, and that was League play. Closed Era. Now in Closed Era, you've got to qualify to RLRS, and then you've got to qualify through there to RLCS. Open Era, every single event, you just pull up your team, you try and qualify. If you want to beat Gentlemates, the current major champions, you can just sign up for the open qualifiers. You can maybe draw into them and beat them. You can play them. So that's the Open Era. Anybody can play. It really transformed the landscape of RLCS, particularly in Europe, with a massive difference in the teams who are at the top of Europe in RLCS Season X compared to the teams who are at the top of Europe in RLCS Season 9. Because the Open Era really allowed a ton of the better players in Europe who are just waiting their turn to qualify to RLCS to just skip the line and get rid of all the old, aging, not as mechanical anymore players that were holding their spots in the league past their sell-by date. But okay, so yeah, that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about RLCS Season X until now. Who is the GOAT? Because disclaimer, I still think K-Dop is the GOAT, and I think Turbo is like alongside him. I think they're the two GOATs, but K-Dop for me is my pick for number one. I don't think any of the Open Era players have surpassed them. Some people are already talking about players like Monkey Moon, Vatira, Rise as being the all like just straight up greatest of all time. And I don't see it personally. I still think that the accomplishments of the OGs put them ahead. But there might be current players playing who will pass them eventually, but not yet. I think it's still K-Dop Turbo. Okay, let's talk about those players who are in the Open Era top 10. So at 10, Open Era GOAT. Well, my top 10 Open Era greatest players. I've got Radosin, who, I think deserves a spot on the list. He's part of the roster that did something no other team has done. He is part of the roster, and I think he's an underrated part of the roster that, won 3 regionals in a row and a major and Worlds. And I think your guys' reaction in chat is exactly why I want to put Radosin in here. Because when you talk greatest, you're talking lands, you're talking accomplishments, you're talking winning. And, a lot of people want to talk about Alpha and Zen when you talk Vitality. Radosin doesn't get the credit, I think, that he deserves. If you look back at a lot of Vitality success, yes, Zen is doing a lot, doing the most. Yes, Alpha's doing a lot, maybe more than Radosin. But Radosin is still doing a lot. And you don't get that run that they had without 3 players in the team who are all doing a ton. They literally won 3 regionals in a row and a major and Worlds back to back to back to back to back. Now, no other team has even done 3 regionals and a major before. They done 3 regionals, major, Worlds. You can't do that without 3 players in the team who are all functioning at a ridiculously high level. So I'm putting Radosin in my top 10 greatest. And I look at the other candidates, I'm thinking, I don't think anyone else deserves to be in here as much as he does. Maybe I'll talk about my honorable mentions at the end, and you guys can decide if you would put any of them in over Radosin. Personally, though, I think Radosin deserves the nod to be in the top 10. Because, you can't just say carried by Zen. I don't think you can anyway. Because if you put me in there in Radosin's shoes, Zen's not winning anything. Like, he's not winning anything. You put all of you guys in Radosin's car, hey, Zen is winning nothing with all of us in his team. Yeah, and that's obviously difference of pro to regular Rocket League player, but the point still stands. You need to have Radosin was so effective at what he did, and without that effectiveness, Vitality would never have been able to win 5 events in a row, including a major and Worlds. And not only that, they did it. Those were at the time considered, and I still think could be as stacked as the EU events now. Those 3 regionals that Vitality won, unbelievably stacked events in probably the most stacked region ever compared to the rest of the world, I'd say. That EU at the end of last season was stronger than any other region has been compared to the rest of the world, and Radosin helped Vitality dominate that region. Strongest region ever compared to the competition, and Vitality still gapped the region. In large part due to Radosin. So I think he's top 10 Open Era GOAT, RLCS Season X onwards. I'm putting him in there. Now, okay, number 9. I've got Atomic. I'm putting Atomic in there. I'm going to put in Atomic in my number 9. G2 Atomic. I think he is an absolute, guaranteed in the top 10. And I think some people might have him a bit higher. But yeah, no, I value winning a lot more than seconds, and Atomic does have a second in the most recent majors, second at Worlds. Those are big. Those are good results. But I do value winning a lot. Like, you know, the win that he got at the Winter Major 2022 was the big one that I think propelled him into my top 10 for Open Era greatest, and that's why I put him up here. Yeah, you guys don't seem to mind that one as much as you mind Radosin, but yeah, Atomic he's great. I don't want to say too much about him, so I'm going to talk more about him in reference to his own region after I reveal a few more players on my list. But I think Atomic is a very obvious addition to the top 10, and he could be, well, actually Radosin as well. You never know, they could continue moving up, because there are some players who I've got ahead of them who are actually, I guess, just one who's not currently too active. But yeah, I think Atomic obviously deserves to be on there. He's won multiple regionals in NA in the Open era. He's won Winter Major 2022, second place Worlds 2022, and then second place in the most recent major as well. Okay, let's continue. And where's my thing gone? Okay, at number 8, I've got Extra. I'm putting Extra at number 8. And I feel like I'm waiting for the question marks. Yep, here they come. I knew they were coming. But I'm putting Extra at number 8. Because the Extra was part of a team who dominated RLCS Season X EU. They actually lost the final, the RLCS Season X EU Championships, came second. But they won all of the majors that season in EU. And they won the fall major, first major back after COVID, cementing themselves as the best team in the Open era. He was part of it with Mark Bay and Monkey Moon. And then obviously he won the World Championship as well, alongside Seiko and Monkey Moon. And, you know, a lot of people try to, in the same way that they downplay Radosin's achievements, a lot of people try to downplay Extra's achievements and say he got carried. I don't think Extra got carried. I think Extra was a phenomenal player up until that World Championship. After that team kind of fell apart a little bit. The Extra Monkey Moon Seiko roster just wasn't performing. They did end up removing Extra from the roster the next season. But up until winning the World Championship, which at the time was the most important Rocket League event of all time, it was the first annual World Championship. He was on the winning team for it. And he was a huge part of that win. And he also won the first LAN after... I mean, Extra's got a stacked resume. So many regional wins in Europe. And he's won a major and Worlds. So I got him ahead of Atomic, who's won a lot of regionals in NA, and he's won a major and got second at Worlds. I think Extra is just the Worlds win is tough. It's tough to beat. Open era GOATs, I think Extra deserves a mention. Same reason as I think Extra and Radosin are like probably underrated when we're talking greatest, because their teammates are so great as well. Which I don't want to spoil too much, but I do have the teammates on here. Well, some of the teammates of these guys on here as well. Let's move on though. Let's go higher. Number 7, I'm going for Alpha 54. I've got Alpha 54 at 7. So Alpha 54 obviously has played most of the Open era with actually played all the Open era with Vitality. He started off playing with K-Dop and Fairy Peak, and then it was K-Dop and was it K-Dop and Radosin, I believe? And then it was Radosin and Sizen, then it was Radosin and Zen. So he's played with a lot of different teammates, and back in RLCS Season X Championships, they actually took the dub over BDS in the grand final of the RLCS Season X Championships. They managed to beat them once. BDS won 3 of their majors, then one time Vitality got their number, and Alpha was a massive part of that, probably the biggest part of that for Vitality. And then obviously he was part of the run alongside Zen and Radosin, legendary stuff. But yeah, he definitely has to be above Radosin, because I think he's slightly outperformed Radosin for me in his stint together with him and Zen. I think he outperformed him slightly in their stint with Sizen and K-Dop on the roster alongside the two of them. And he also had the win with K-Dop and Fairy Peak for RLCS Season X, so he's definitely above Radosin for me. No question about Alpha's inclusion, the GOATs, top 10 GOATs for the Open era. All right, next up in my Open era top 10, just missing out on 5, somebody who moved up actually quite a lot after the most recent event, is Itachi. And part of why I put Itachi so high is because he's had success in the Open era on so many different rosters. He is a recent major winner, obviously, with Gentlemates, where I think if we look at the event as a whole, he's probably the MVP. I'm totally fine with. Did Juicy get the MVP at the end of that event? I think he did. Um, a couple of people coming in and asking what's open era again. I'll say it again. It's RLC season X onwards. But yeah, I don't mind. I think all the gentlemates were very deserving of. They were very very even contributions there. But I think Itachi was probably like my pick for the whole event MVP. And I actually made a video at the start of this stream talking about some underrated plays that he made in the start of the grand final. Unbelievable player to this day, on top currently, and also top 4 at Worlds in the most stacked Worlds ever last season. He got a major win last season as well, a 3rd place at the major in Boston, and he even made a top 8 at Worlds alongside Astral and was it Nolly? And then they took BDS to Game 7 in 2022. So he's had so many different rosters that he's been a part of that have had success, a lot of success. And yeah, that to me is greatness. Just being able to like slot into so many different teams with completely different players and working so well. So I put Itachi at 6. Before this event just passed, I probably would have had Itachi at probably at 9. It's 9 or 10. It's either him and Radosin would have been quite similar for me. But now I'm bumping him up to 6 because I think the last event it's impressed me so much what Itachi accomplished there with gentlemates. I have to recognize that it's a large part of the open era. The open era is not. I mean, it's quite long, but big changes are possible with how close a lot of these players are. Okay, top 5. Top 5. I think, all these players are just unreal. You could maybe make a case for any of them being top 3, but actually I'm going to put Zen at 5. Maybe some of you expected me to put Zen higher, but I put Zen at 5 because although what he did was unprecedented, hasn't been done before, came into the scene, won 5 events in a row, 3 regionals, major worlds, best player in the team for the entire time, best player in the world. The players above him have just had longer to do more. And Zen has won a major and worlds, and then he's finished, top 4 at the most recent majors. So he's done a lot recently. But so the players above him have done, I think, a little bit more because they've been around, active in the open era for longer, getting dubs. So I think Zen for me number 5. Him and Radosin have done the same thing together, so it got Zen a lot higher than Radosin because I think Zen has done more. He has been better for that team, but I wanted to put Radosin in there because I think he's done a lot as well. I don't think it's like Zen is 1 and Radosin is like 50. I think they're like 5 and 10. I think that they're both in my top 10 currently. But yeah, Zen at 5 for me, just missing out on this guy. This is the guy Zen's nipping at his heels, but for now I still got Rise ahead of him. I still got Rise ahead of Zen for now. Zen's nipping at his heels a little bit, but Rise, kind of with KC dominance online, just reinstated himself as a contender to be open era GOAT. These guys, I think Zen and above are all contenders to be open era GOAT. The top 5, you could make a case for any of them being the GOAT in the open era. But yeah, I think Rise is number 4. He's obviously had a lot of his success with Joyo and Vatira, and then Vatira left the team. Rise still made a grand final in the Fall Major Rotterdam, beating Vatira in the quarters, Vatira's Carmine Corp. Then he went and joined Oxygen, not a good stint, joined BDS, they turned into the second best team in the world. And now he's on KC, they're still arguably the best team in the world, definitely for me top 2 alongside Gentlemates. So again, kind of like Itachi, Rise, doesn't matter what team you put him on, he's able to shine and help that team do great things. Hasn't missed, I don't think he's missed qualifying for a LAN since Moist made the first one, has he? It's Queso, Moist, and then Moist again at Worlds, and they qualified with Moist for Fall, Oxygen, BDS, KC. He's on a LAN streak right now. So that's why I've got to put Rise in very, very high. But okay, the big 3, I feel like no controversy with the names. Everybody probably knows the names that are coming up next, but the order my order's changed for this one. So the top 3, my order's changed after the most recent event. And in fact, the most recent event has resulted in me moving Vatira to 3 for now. Still above his current teammate Rise. But yeah, I'm putting Vatira at 3 because I kind of have to talk about the rest of the guys at the same time. It's Seiko and it's Monkey Moon. I kind of have to talk about the 3 of them together, or else you're just going to know. But yeah, before this event, I would have had Monkey Moon 1, Vati 2, Seiko, probably down at probably, I don't know, 4. maybe four or five even. I think it's debatable. Like, yeah, Seiko and Itachi, the fact that they've won a major with a totally different roster. Obviously, Seiko won Worlds in a major with or no, he won Worlds. Sorry, he didn't win a major. He won Worlds with Monkey Moon and Extra, and then he comes back next season with Monkey Moon and Rise, comes second at a major, second at Worlds, and then he comes back this season with Itachi and Juicy, totally different roster, and he's still that guy. So I'm putting Seiko at 2, just ahead of Vatira, because yeah, Vatira, he was like kind of the guy closing the gap to Monkey Moon, but now Seiko's saying, but remember me though, I was already pretty high up on that on that list, and now I've won another major with another team, so I've got to put Seiko ahead for now. But yeah, Monkey Moon, Seiko. I'll say I think Monkey Moon is still the clear number one. I don't think anybody's taken Monkey Moon's Open Era GOAT status since the Open Era began. He started the Open Era as the best player. It was kind of like Monkey Moon and EU, Justin and NA. They were the very clear two best. And then when the dust settled after COVID finished, Monkey Moon emerged victorious over Justin, kind of cementing himself as the Open Era GOAT. And that has never changed. He's remained the Open Era from the very start of the Open Era till now. And nobody's been able to catch him. But yeah, Seiko... and with the most recent event, closed the gap a little bit. Vatira over the last season, maybe closing the gap on him, definitely a bit. Rise as well. I mean, Zen, these guys are all kind of closing the gap. Even Itachi, I mean, all these guys, Itachi and Seiko have moved up. So Monkey Moon's spot as Open Era GOAT might not be safe at the end of the season. We could see that change, but for now, I still think he's the Open Era GOAT. Seiko, Vatira coming up behind him. And then Rise and Zen closely behind in 4 and 5. And then I think after that, you do have like kind of a block of players. Your Itachi, Alpha, and then Extra, Atomic, Radosin. Yeah, they're not. They've got a bit more to do to catch the top 5. But for me, that's my top 5. I've got what is that? 1, 2, 3 French players at the top, as you should. Another French player in Zen, Alpha, Radosin. 6 French players. We've got 1 English player, 1 Moroccan, and 1. No, is it 7 French players? Sorry, I've miscounted. 7 French players. With Radosin, Extra, Alpha, Zen, Vati, Seiko, Monkey Moon. 7 French players, 1 Moroccan, Itachi, who speaks French, 1 Englishman, Rise, who lives in Portugal and also speaks French, and then Atomic, who doesn't speak... I don't think Atomic speaks French. But yeah, my honorable mentions, you guys can decide, because you're all spamming question marks when I put Radosin in. My players who just missed the cut are players like JNaps in Chicago, who obviously, if they had won Worlds, I think they would probably be in here. But they'd definitely be in here, but they didn't. So they're not. Atomic went on after them to do more with his current team G2. But JNaps in Chicago, having to take a back seat for now. You've also got players like Joyo, the third from the Vatira Rise combination. He's had to watch his teammates, go and join other teams and have a lot of success. He's still waiting to see Joyo get his big dub. And yeah, also Justin. I think Justin's an honorable mention for sure. But yeah, I think start of the Open Era, Justin would have been in here. But yeah, since NRG fell off so early in the Open Era, they were dominant in our LCS Season X, dominant in the fall split, and then from then on, they just weren't a factor. That's like how many events: winter, spring, worlds, fall, winter, spring, worlds, and now another major. So many events where NRG were just not a factor, and Justin's like had to wait again to get back in that conversation. But yeah, he's that's why I don't have him in there. And then I think they're probably the only other player that you guys. So I've said JNAP, Chicago, Joyo. They're probably my closest. Justin's another one, and then maybe First Killer is another. Now First Killer's had dominance in NA, but he hasn't won an international event. I don't think you could put someone ahead of any of these names on the screen if they haven't won an international event. The only other NA players right now who have won one, is Chronic, and then you've got Jack and Nolly playing in NA have won one as well. But outside of their wins in Gen G, they won one major. They were I think first seed one of the splits in NA. It's just not quite enough to match Radosin's, 3 regionals, major worlds. Like that's just it's too much of a gap. I mean, Radosin's resume is just ridiculous at 10. So that's why I've got these guys in my top 10. But if you guys disagree, if you think I've absolutely botched this, and I have now. I meant to center it, and I've stretched it. I didn't even know that was a hotkey. What have I done here? I didn't even know you could do that. That's cool. What is that? Transform. Control F is stretch. Control D is center. and there's no undo. Cool. I guess that's it then. Yeah, we'll just leave it at that. I don't see any issues with it personally. It's fine. It's totally fine. There you have it. There you have the top 10. Maybe if I can like bring it in like this a little bit, I can make it look a little bit less weird. That actually doesn't look too bad now that I've done that. There we go. Yeah, that's pretty good actually. That's not bad. Not bad. Yeah, guys, let me know your top 10s. Who do you think I missed out on? Who do you think should be in there? Who do you think will be in here in the future? You know, I've just realized something. My like brain is telling me that this list would look more aesthetically pleasing if Alpha was here, because then it would be kind of like, I guess it's not really like a perfect curve. We need to probably put Itachi higher to make a perfect curve. Like this, I guess. Would this make a perfect curve? This isn't my top 10 anymore. This is just me trying to make a perfect curve. Nah, it's not even perfect, so I've ruined it. Anyway, well, the top 10 was the one before that.